Oh, look. The infertile woman is crying. I can guess why.
At 33, I was at the gynecologist and had just received my results. I was sobbing in the lobby. But then, I bumped into my ex-husband, who left me because of my infertility.
So you are here. You must have remarried. And you're still going through infertility treatments, huh? Crying again because you can't have kids. That's just sad.
That's none of your business.
Cold to your ex-husband, huh? But you're still holding on to hope. You will never be able to conceive, no matter how hard you try. I feel sorry for your current husband, having an infertile wife like you.
He kept mocking me relentlessly, laughing heartily. My anger reached its peak. I looked him straight in the eye and said, "I'm pregnant with twins."
What?
After this, he was in for a rude awakening. "My name is Sarah. I'm a 33-year-old office worker. Actually, I'm divorced. I'd like to tell you about my horrendous previous marriage. At 24, I met my ex-husband Peter through a friend. He was 2 years older and worked at a very big company. I was inexperienced in love and shy, so I was easily swayed by his aggressive pursuit. Even when we were still dating, he would always tell me,
I want 3 kids in the future, boys preferably. Playing catch with my son has always been my dream.
As our relationship grew, I found myself wanting to fulfill that dream for him. And at 26, we got married. When we visited his parents in the countryside, his mother said to me, "You are young. You will probably have lots of babies." At that time, I was young and didn't feel pressured. I cheerfully agreed. But when we talked about the wedding, Peter's mood darkened.
A wedding? We don't need to do all that.
What? I was slightly shocked. I had saved money, expecting a wedding ceremony when the time came. I want a beautiful wedding dress, and I want my family and friends to celebrate the special day. When I expressed this, Peter tried to reason with me.
We want kids soon, right? Kids cost a lot of money. It's better to save for them than waste money on a ceremony.
But
don't you care about our future kids? You won't be a good mom thinking like that.
okay. And just like that, my wedding dream vanished. We got married in plain clothes, with just a priest. My parents and friends were disappointed, but it was what it was. Some people enjoy their newlywed life, but Peter was different. We started trying for a baby right after getting married. I loved him and wanted children too, so I went along with it. But my married life was constantly troubling. It was because Peter never did any housework. I continued working after marriage, so we were both earning. But he refused to discuss sharing household chores. He even said to me,
When you get pregnant, you can be a full-time housewife. Practice your housework skills now.
I opposed this. But we don't have kids yet, and we both work. We should share the chores.
Listen, I earn money outside. You handle the house and kids. That's how marriage works, right?
That's not fair. Despite this, he insisted on splitting our expenses equally and kept more money for himself. He earned more, working at a big company. I screamed and saved, preparing for when we'd have children. 6 months into our marriage, Peter complained.
Hey, it's been half a year. Aren't you pregnant yet?
Well, we were trying to conceive naturally, but there was no sign of pregnancy.
What's going on? I planned for you to be pregnant by now.
I didn't know what to say and stumbled over my words.
Fine, Just keep trying. I want a kid within a year of marriage.
His behavior was selfish, and I honestly found those times painful. But I wanted children and felt it was my duty as a wife. So I complied with his frequent demands. A year passed, and I still wasn't pregnant. When I came out of the bathroom and said, "It didn't work this time either," he clicked his tongue.
Again?
"Peter, don't act like that."
It's your fault for not getting pregnant. You've messed up my life plan.
"Don't say that." He left the room irritably. That's why my mother-in-law started calling frequently. "Sarah, no baby yet?" "Sorry, not yet." "Are you two really trying?" She was blunt and direct. As I hesitated to respond, she continued, "Maybe the food in the city isn't good for you. I will send you some vegetables from here next time." Okay. The cardboard box that arrived was packed with vegetables she grew. Gradually, I started to feel the pressure of not being able to have children. Even in our second year of marriage, there was still no sign of us having a child.
So, how about this month?
Peter would ask me this every month. It seems not yet. When I answered, his mood immediately soured.
Again? When will you ever get pregnant?
"I'm sorry."
Did you know that if a couple can conceive after a year, they are considered infertile?
The word infertile, coming from his mouth, weighed heavily on my heart. As I fell silent, Peter, annoyed, said,
You should go to the hospital and get checked out.
"Okay, I will." So I went to the gynecologist. I told the doctor we weren't able to conceive and got tested. I was told I might have an ovulation disorder. I was shocked. So it was me after all? When I came back from the gynecologist, Peter asked,
What did they say?
They said I might have an ovulation disorder. When I answered, he reacted as if he had won a victory.
See? I knew it. You're the reason we can't have kids.
"I'm sorry, but they said treatment is possible."
Of course it is. Make sure you get treated. To think I ended up with an infertile wife. I have such bad luck.
"I'm sorry." I silently endured his harsh words, believing the problem was indeed mine. I continued treatment while visiting the gynecologist. I got my body in a condition where the doctors said pregnancy shouldn't be a problem. But still, there was no sign of pregnancy. By then, calls from my mother-in-law had turned sarcastic. "I heard from Peter the problem is with you." "I'm sorry. I'm getting treatment." "Poor Peter. You can't get pregnant because you're not trying hard enough." "I'm sorry." Instead of apologizing, try harder with your diet and exercise to get pregnant. Yes. The pressure and stress started taking a toll on my health, but that only made it even harder to conceive. I tried hard to keep my health up and continued my efforts to conceive. Just before our third anniversary, a crisis struck.
Hey, what about this month?
"I'm sorry."
You, sit right here.
Peter ordered me roughly, and I sat at the dining table, trembling. He silently took out something. It was a signed divorce agreement. "What? This is..."
You think I'd continue a marriage with someone who can't have kids?
He said this threateningly. "But come on, a divorce is too much."
The infertility problem is only yours. Didn't the hospital say so?
"I'm getting treatment now, and I'm ovulating."
Then why aren't you pregnant? Answer me.
"Why don't you come to the clinic with me next time?"
Are you trying to blame me now?
Peter's face turned red, and he slammed his fist on the table. I shrank back at his intensity.
I've wasted 3 years on someone who can't get pregnant. What a waste of time.
I remained silent, pale-faced. He continued.
My mom said it too. If there is no child in 3 years, leave. There is no need to stay with a woman who can't have kids.
I teared up, but he just glared at me coldly.
You think crying will solve everything? Don't be so naive. I will leave you for someone younger and have my own kids.
He shoved the divorce agreement at me, insisting I sign it. My hands trembling, I signed it, and he watched with satisfaction.
It's so pathetic. Divorced and infertile at 29. Who will want you now? You will have to live alone.
His words stabbed me like daggers. He put away the divorce papers and said,
Get your things and leave by tomorrow. There will be no property division.
What? But
I will keep our savings as compensation for dealing with you. Leave with nothing but your clothes.
And that's how my 3 years of marriage ended, with me being discarded. I returned to my parents' house and continued working. My family welcomed me back warmly. 3 years later, the wounds from my marriage to Peter had finally healed. At 32, I met a man named Dustin at my regular cafe. Dustin was kind, had a wonderful sense of humor, and a wonderful man. After several coffee dates, he looked me in the eyes and said,
Sarah, would you consider dating me with the intention of marriage?
I hesitated, and he looked at me kindly. You know, I'm divorced, right? I wasn't planning on marrying again.
Why?
It was then that I first told him about my infertility. He listened intently, holding my hand.
What if I said infertility doesn't matter?
What?
I just want to be with you, Sarah. I really like you.
Dustin. I was sure that I also had feelings for him. So we started dating with marriage in mind. After a year of dating, we visited his parents. Even after hearing that I might not be able to have children, his parents warmly welcomed me. Later, Dustin and I had the wedding of my dreams. It was a small ceremony with just family and close friends, but it became an unforgettable memory for me. In our married life, he took the lead in household chores, and we lived a life full of mutual care and understanding. I finally found my haven. About a year after living with Dustin, I started feeling unwell and went to the gynecologist alone. After the examination, I received an unexpected news in the doctor's office. While waiting in the lobby, I mulled over the doctor's words. No, this can't be happening. Tears streamed down my face uncontrollably, and I started sobbing. Then someone approached me.
Well, if it isn't Sarah.
Looking up through tear-streaked eyes, I saw my ex-husband Peter. He smirked condescendingly at me.
Oh, look. The infertile woman is crying. I can guess why.
As I remained silent, he continued smugly.
So you are here. You must have remarried. And you are still going through infertility treatments, huh? Crying again because you can't have kids. That's just sad.
That's none of our business.
Cold to your ex-husband, huh? But you are still holding on to hope. You will never be able to conceive, no matter how hard you try. I feel sorry for your current husband, having an infertile wife like you.
He laughed heartily as he continued.
So how did you manage to remarry? Did you keep your infidelity a secret? Make sure you tell your husband, I'm a failure who can't have kids.
As he relentlessly taunted me, I reached my limit. How dare he say this now? I looked Peter straight in the eye and told him, I'm pregnant with twins.
You what?
Yes, that was the news I got in the doctor's office. I never imagined I could have Dustin's children, let alone twins. That's why I was crying with joy. Peter was stunned. I looked him in the eye and showed him the ultrasound photo. See for yourself, I'm pregnant.
What? But you have an ovulation disorder.
That was treated a long time ago. Now I think the stress from my previous marriage was the cause.
That's ridiculous. You are infertile. You can't be pregnant.
Then, a woman in her late 20s, looking strong-willed, approached us.
Oh, Shannon.
Shannon, apparently Peter's current wife, walked up to him and suddenly slapped him.
What the? Shannon! What are you doing?
She shouted at the dumbfounded Peter. I just got the result. The infertility issue is with you. You're the sterile one.
What?
Shannon dropped some papers, which clearly stated that Peter's chance of having children was almost hopeless. Peter picked them up, trembling and staring in shock. She continued, How dare you and your mother call me a failure and infertile?
Shannon.
I was listening. She's your ex-wife, right? Mocking her and me when the problem was with you is just ridiculous.
But that can't be.
I can't stand you or your insane mother anymore. I'm divorcing your sorry ass.
Wait, Shannon.
She glanced at him with contempt and left. Just then, I was called to the cashier. As I stood up, I said to him, Who is a failure who can't have children now? Live miserably, you worthless jerk. I left Peter standing there, dumbfounded. Later, I heard from mutual acquaintances that Peter and Shannon divorced. Moreover, he had been making harassing comments at work, like,
Women who can't have kids are worthless.
or,
You look like you can bear healthy children.
He was reported by the female employees and demoted. Unable to endure the shame, he resigned. Now, he's living in a shabby apartment, desperately looking for a job. Whether he will ever find happiness, I don't know. But it's no longer any of my concern. As for me, I gave birth to the twins safely. Dustin was delighted to help with parenting, and we are enjoying a loving family life. I want to protect this happiness I have now.